My name is Ryan and I'm in recovery. In my first video, I kind of touched on there being a specific incident that brought things to a head and made me have to face my cocaine addiction and tell my family. I thought I would tell the story of that incident. It's pretty bleak, so just be warned. Yeah, so back in January, February, I was really heavily using daily. I've not really been seeing much of anyone actually, really. Me and my sister are really close, and we'd kind of made plans that she would come and visit me on a Saturday with my niece. She's 8 years old and we're really, really close. Like I say, I was using daily at this point, so when we made the plan, I then made a separate plan to kind of work out how I'd be able to keep using and also then be able to be present for to host them and for them to visit. I decided I'd pick up a quarter of cocaine, 7 grams of cocaine on the Wednesday, and I'd use it Wednesday, Thursday, and kind of sleep Friday and then be ready to host on Saturday. I did do that. I picked up the 7 grams on the Wednesday. I was using all through Wednesday, Thursday, didn't sleep. Got to Friday morning. 7 grams is normally about my limit, but for some reason at this point, I still felt like I wanted to carry on. Obviously I was conscious that my sister was coming the next day, so I decided this time I would order another, I think it was an 8-ball, 3.5 grams of cocaine, and I'd also get a bottle of whiskey and some sleeping tablets. It's worth mentioning as well that the last few years my using, when it was recreational I would drink and stuff with it, but for the last few years when I was using in isolation and these sort of patterns, I would just do cocaine dry. I wouldn't drink with it, I wouldn't have any downers or mix it with anything else. It was just as much cocaine as I could consume, basically. So yeah, this time I decided I'd get some sleeping tablets over the counter and I'd get a bottle of whiskey, and I was thinking I'd then use the whole of Friday. Friday night would come and I would take the sleeping tablets, the whiskey, and that would knock me out, and I would get a night's sleep ready for my sister and my niece's arrival on Saturday morning. Lo and behold, it didn't go as planned. It got to Saturday morning at 4 a.m, 5 a.m. I'm still there working through the cocaine. Blinds are down, doors are locked, dark thoughts are there, anxiety's there. The anxiety's got a whole other edge because I'm freaking out about the fact that my sister's coming in a few hours and I'm still high as a kite. I haven't prepared the flat. The flat's covered in paraphernalia. The bedroom that they would be staying in isn't sorted. The bed's not made, all this kind of stuff. And then, yeah, in that time, a couple of hours later, my sister texts me and says they're on their way. Panic runs through me. I'm like, right, I've now got 2 hours to get sorted. At this point, I've got about 1 gram of cocaine left. Rather than just leave it and start trying to jump into action, I decided to do the whole gram in one go. I then chug a bit of, I can't remember how much whiskey, so like a quarter bottle of whiskey or something, and then I took 2 sleeping tablets. In my twisted logic, addictive brain, I was like, the cocaine will kick in and I'll get an energy boost. I'll use that energy boost to tidy the flat, make the bed, prepare for their arrival. The sleeping tablets and the whiskey will then kick in and I'll be able to sleep, get an hour's sleep, wake up and be ready to host. Yeah, I managed to convince myself that was a good idea in the moment. After 3 days no sleep, I guess you convince yourself of a lot of mad things. Yeah, so then the last thing I remember after consuming the cocaine, the whiskey and the sleeping tablets is getting up to start tidying, and then I do not remember. It's blackout after that for me. I then come to, and I'm in a pitch black room lying on a bed and I've got cuts and bruises on my arms. It feels like I've been in a fight. I don't remember anything. I then kind of get my bearings and realise I'm actually in my own bed and it's nighttime. I get up out of bed, realise how kind of sore my body is, and also I kind of feel really unsteady on my feet and I have to run to the bathroom and be sick. Whilst I'm being sick, I hear voices in my flat, and so I walk into my lounge to see what's going on, and I see my sister, my niece, and Amy, my girlfriend, all there. My niece is kind of just innocently playing at the table, and my sister and Amy are kind of having a chat. I then, obviously my head's swimming, I'm trying to piece together what's happened. The flat's also spotless, so I'm thinking to myself, did I clean the flat and then fall asleep, or have I somehow got away with this, or what's happening? Not long after that, Tahani's, my niece, needs to go to bed, so we put her down to bed. Amy also goes to bed, and me and my sister are left. She proceeds to tell me what happened. Basically, she arrived at my flat and I text her, and she kind of texts me saying she's here, and I text her back saying I need more time to tidy because I'd had a party and I needed to clean up. So she took my niece down to the beach, and they had she played on the beach while my sister had a coffee, and Amy came and met them. After 3 hours, they then came back, and by this point I wasn't answering the phone anymore or being responsive, answering the door or anything like that. I live on a ground floor flat, so my sister came around to the back of the flat and there was a window open. She climbed through the window, and she describes basically climbing into the window, seeing me stood in like piles of glass all around me, blood on me, totally dazed and confused, like not really speaking coherently or anything like that. Not like my dog was there barking hysterically. It was just not a really horrible scene for my sister to walk into. My niece and Amy are still at the front of the flat waiting to be let in. Obviously my sister sees me in the state I'm in, and it's like my 8-year-old niece cannot see me like that, so she puts me into bed and shuts the door, lets my niece Tahani in with Amy, and this part really I find upsetting, but yeah, my niece then said to my sister, "Is Ryan going to hurt me?" I guess, an 8-year-old sees smashed glass and bedlam everywhere and thinks it looks like some sort of like fight has happened or violence has happened, and she gets scared. And to think that I could scare my niece like that is really upsetting for me. It's like, I don't want her to ever feel afraid of me. We've got a really special relationship, and to think that she could feel in danger through something I had done, it's hard to accept. But yeah, so Chelsea and my sister Chelsea and Amy then kind of spring into action, clean the flats, make it spotless. And then I, that evening, woke up. We then kind of had the chat, and that was when it all came out. And I told Amy, told my sister, told my mum and dad, and I was like, I'm a cocaine addict and I need help. And that was kind of the first step to what then led me to rehab.